Millionaire thoughts, billionaire dreams. I know niggas who played ball and gave it up for lean.
Millionaire thoughts, billionaire dreams, but my account in overdraft, I'm about to scream.
Rich man greed,
A poor man prayers,
every man bleeds.
but look how God made us.
Too many losses, it's only right that we win. I made a promise I'm never gonna lose again. Lose again, lose again, lose again, lose again, lose again.
Under the Fair Use Act, these videos are for information and educational purposes, and I do not own the rights to any of these videos that are shown. All rights reserved to the original content creators.
Yo, what's going on? It's your boy SL 550, and this is the Never Gonna Lose Again podcast. Today we're gonna be talking about, so right now Trump is trying to pass, I think it's going to be honest, because most of the country agrees with voter ID. Most of the country wants it. That's how the elections are going to be more valid, more safe, and um, the Republicans are pushing to pass the SAVE Act, and the Democrats are doing everything in their power to make sure that this bill doesn't pass. And you got to just ask yourself, it's 2026. Why would the Democrats not want voter ID, bro? This is like, the crazy part is uh not requesting an ID when you go to vote is new. That's something that they started doing like a few years ago. Probably 2020 was probably maybe the first time he was doing it. But before, in the past, and we'll show you, they used to have to show your ID in order to vote. You know, so it just goes to show you that these people are only wanting illegal immigrants in the country just so they can continue to rig elections and have people vote that shouldn't be voting in this country. They can say all they want. The same thing they said about, oh, uh, illegal immigrants. It's against the law for them to get Medicare. Any type of Medicaid and stuff like that. And come to find out that was a lie. These people just lie, bro. This is why I seen a clip where a guy said, hold on. I seen a clip where a guy said, you know what Trump should do? Trump should he should have like a press conference and say, listen, if you're an illegal immigrant and you vow to vote Republican in the next election, then you can stay, you can get citizenship. Like, yo, like real shit though. If he was to come up with a play like that, I'm not saying that he should do that. Fuck it. But if he comes up with something like that or similar to that, where these people that are here illegal, obviously if they're not criminals and stuff like that, if they vowed to vote Republican, you would see so fast how they would try to get these illegal immigrants out of this country, bro. They only want these people here because they believe that these people will vote for them in these upcoming elections. And this is what they're scared of, bro. The 2030 census is coming up, and this is what people don't understand. Like a lot of people, including myself, I don't, I'm getting into politics, you know what I'm saying? So it's new to me. Uh, so I learn every day, and I just talk about it. But I don't know what the census is, but it's coming up, and this is supposed to be like a big deal, and they're gonna lose seats, and this is what they're scared of. The Democrats are scared that they will never get back in power. But listen, I like you could get back in power. You just gotta have people that actually push common sense shit, bro. A lot of the stuff that these Democrats are pushing are just deranged, lunatic type things. Like I don't even understand how people even agree with half the shit that these people even talk about, bro. It's crazy. But anyway, man, we're gonna tap in with Charles Forte. He talks about the SAVE Act, and I guess Stephen A. Made some comments or whatever. But he's also going to show a clip of Obama using his ID to vote. I guess back when he was the president or whatever. And then we're gonna tap in with Brian Maxwell, just giving uh, some updates on Scott Besson. He had a hearing, and he's just like Trump is just making all of these Democrats just look so bad, bro. Like they just look crazy. They look crazy because every single thing is just common sense stuff. Having illegal immigrants in the country is not good for the country, bro. It's not sustainable. You see what Mom Donnie just came out and let New Yorkers know that 12, what was it, $12 billion in the hole because of illegal immigrants. But before Mom Donnie even came into the picture, Mayor Adams already let it be known that they are like in the hole because of it. A lot of these Democrat sanctuary states are in the hole because of illegal immigration, and it's all just so they can maintain power. That's it. It's all it's about, bro. It's power. These people want to get in power so they can change these laws and stay in power. They the ones that truly want to stay in power. But, we'll get into it. Let's get straight into it, man.
So, Leader Schumer, this talk about election security has revived discussions of the SAVE Act, which you have said you oppose. Proponents of it say that it's, to have ID, you have to prove U.S. citizenship to be able to vote. Though some of the claims they make, to be clear, are overstated. We know there's not widespread election fraud. But polling does suggest, there's a new Pew Research poll, that 95% of Republicans, but also...
But you see how do you see how they frame these questions? Well, we know that there's not wide voter fraud. When there is, bro. There is. See what they do is they know most people don't even know or care about voter fraud. They don't. Most people just don't trust elections anymore. And it's because they know that they're cheating. They know that, they putting these puppets in office or whatever the case may be. But it's not in every city. It's in the important, not in every state. It's in the important states. You know what I'm saying? Like you got the electoral college and you got, um, uh, certain states that, are must wins when it comes to the elections. So yeah, it may not be in every single state, but it's in the important ones for sure.
71% of Democrats like this idea. So why do you not?
It's Jim Crow 2.0. And I called it Jim Crow 2.0, and the right wing went nuts all over the internet. That's because they know it's true. What they're trying to do here is the same thing that was done in the South for decades to prevent people of color from voting. For instance, if you change, you're a woman who got married and changed your last name, you won't be able to show ID and you'll be discriminated against. If you can't find a birth certificate or a proper ID, you'll be discriminated against. This is vicious.
You see his body language, see how he's looking around and stuff like that, because he knows what he's saying is straight bullshit.
And nasty. And I said to our Republican colleagues, it will not pass the Senate. You will not get a single Democratic vote in the Senate. We're not reviving Jim Crow all over the country.
Somehow Chuck Schumer is against
voting. Hold on, bro. Hold on. How is this Jim Crow, bro? And black people, you don't feel disrespected that this guy is even saying this? That he feels like he thinks black people are so poor that they don't have an ID. They think that you don't have a birth certificate. They think that you don't have these things. So it's discriminatory against you to vote when 70-some% of Democrats agree with voter ID. Everybody agrees with it on both sides, Republican or Democrat, independent, it doesn't matter. Everybody wants voter ID. So what Chuck Schumer's saying is bullshit. It's straight bullshit, bro. But just look how they get on camera and just straight gaslight. Just straight gaslight people. Like, come on. Every single person that has watched this video has an ID, bro. I told you, bro, I've been in prison. When you leave prison, it is mandatory for you to have an ID, a birth certificate, and a social security card. And that's for criminals. So you're not going to, in order to get welfare, you have to have an ID. You have to have a birth certificate. You have to have all of these proof of address, things like that. You have to have all of these things in order to get welfare. Everybody has an ID, bro. Maybe underage, kids or whatever. Grown adults, 98% of people have an ID, bro. If you don't have an ID, it's just because you don't want one.
Voter ID, because he's claiming that in 2026, with all the technology that we have, background checks, database verification systems, it somehow won't be possible for a married woman who changed her last name to be able to vote. Think about how ridiculous that sounds. I mean, really think about it. We're supposed to believe that in a world where we can verify your identity for pretty much anything. You want to buy a house, get a passport, board a plane, open a bank account. But somehow there's no way to verify that a woman is who she says she is just because she changed her last name after marriage.
Right.
That's the argument. And then he want to go with the talking point that voter ID will somehow discriminate against black people, against black voters, as if black people don't know how to gather their documents, as if black Americans are incapable of getting an ID.
And they've been saying this. This is how they feel about you, bro. They feel as though you're a fucking imbecile. You're so slow. You're so naive to life that you can't go out and get an ID.
That's the narrative. And so what's so crazy about what Chuck Schumer just said is now you have people bringing up old video footage of Barack Obama resurfacing from 2012, needing voter ID. Imagine that. And so let's take a look at this real quick.
He needs an ID.
Oh, you bet you're right. Hold on. I got my driver's license. Here you go.
And so what you hear right there is one of the attendants who helped with the voting process. She says, you need an ID. And then you have Obama and you hear him say, you're right. And he brings out the ID. And I don't think he's worried about Jim Crow 2.0.
Hey, yo, ain't it funny how all of these issues that these Democrats are bitching about, we have footage of Barack Obama, who is black, who is basically going against their whole narrative. You know, this is discriminated against black people. And then you got Obama in the video using his ID to vote.
Bringing out his ID, making sure that he represents that who he is, who he says he is. But somehow Chuck Schumer, he believes that. And here's another one. Here's rare Jim Crow era footage of Joe Biden showing his ID to vote in a 2022 midterm election. Let's check this one out.
Hi. Want to help out? How you doing? Thank you.
Her first vote.
Yeah.
So look, this is how new this not having an ID. Listen, it's so new. I remember going to vote in 2024, and when we went in there, they made sure they had the signs posted, "Don't need ID," right? And people were coming in. Everybody was coming in and was like reading the paper, and they're like, because people are automatically pulling out their ID, and they're like, "You don't no ID required. We just need your name or whatever the case may be." So I actually witnessed a white woman say, she was like looking weirded out, like, you don't need an ID." Like, this is unheard of, bro. This is 2022.
Nationality, your first name?
I'm Natalie.
Natalie. Biden, now voting. Pretty good. You look better in person.
Yes.
It's always fascinating to watch the hypocrisy on the left when you see things that they were in lockstep with supporting. Immigration enforcement, voter ID, but somehow under Donald J. Trump as president, they got a major problem with the things that once they were all for, and they had no problem with actually being put in place. All right, so let's get into the next clip where Stephen A. Smith, Bill Maher are sitting down and they're having a conversation, and they touch on Chuck Schumer's comments about the whole Jim Crow 2.0 trying to fearmonger black voters. Let's take a listen.
Things that I did to start off my show today is that I brought up Senator Chuck Schumer because Chuck Schumer called what Trump's trying to do with the elections, he called it Jim Crow 2.0. And what I guarded against, I said, I've taken heat from the Democratic Party from time to time. You certainly have, on numerous occasions. And I said, don't get Trumpish. Don't engage in that kind of hyperbole, because we're living in the year 2026. And when you start bringing up Jim Crow 2.0, you're trying to harken back to a time that most people recognize. No, we're not living in those times.
See, this is what I dislike about Stephen A. Smith. It's because he's a grifter, bro. Like, instead of him just calling these people out, these people really fear these Democrats, bro. They really fear, like, the consequences. Like, he's scared to lose his show or something, I guess. I don't know. But he's always, like, right on the cusp of just being honest, and then he has to throw a shot in there, don't be Trumpish. Like, Trump ain't bringing up Jim Crow. You know what I'm saying? Like, I never heard Trump bring up Jim Crow or nothing. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I never even seen Trump use the black plight in order to, like, the one time was when he said, listen, your schools are shitty, your neighborhoods are shitty, everything is fucked up, and these people have been in power, they ain't did shit for you. You ain't got nothing to lose voting for me. Which I don't think I think everything he said was correct and factual. You know what I'm saying? But like, bro, point blank period, man, it's just to prove, like, passing this proves, like, because you're going to see once this SAFE Act passes, which I think it will, and I think what needs to be done is Trump needs to just kill the filibuster, bro. Just kill it. Because at the end of the day, they're going to do it anyway. Once they get back in power, so you might as well get your shit, your agenda across and kill the filibuster, bro. And you don't need the 60 vote anymore once he does that. And that's what I think needs to be done, bro, because this needs to pass. You're going to see when this SAVE Act passes, bro, you're going to see in real time how these Democrats change. You're not even going to hear them talk about illegal immigrants anymore. They might even say, Trump, we're opening up our jails, we're opening up, because now they ain't going to want to pay for these people to be here anymore. They're only doing all this, catering to these illegal immigrants because they need them here in order to have bodies in these cities, in these states, because they count towards this 2030 census. So it's all about power, bro, and it's all about elections. It's all it's about. When this bill passes, because it's going to pass one way or another. Because you already see John Thune already hitting that. He ain't really talking about the whole filibuster, killing it or whatever. They already said that they don't want to do that. But I think that's what it's going to come down to. It's crazy.
Right
Crazy.
now, of course, we've got our troubles, but we're not doing. Don't do that because that's playing right into Trump's hands. Was I right in saying that?
And yes, and you're factually right. It's this thing that he's trying to do with not conceding elections. That it's not primarily a racial issue. Not everything is primarily a racial issue. It has racial overtones, as does everything in this country. But yes, you're right. It's foolish to make it about that. And it's also foolish because Biden used that exact phrase about voting in Georgia. And then they did polling after that next election came up, and even the black folks said we had no problem voting.
Exactly.
So, like you say, don't engage in the kind of hyperbole that's just going to bite you in the ass.
Now, I'll give Stephen A. some credit here because he actually called it out. But come on, Stephen A. This isn't Democrats suddenly getting Trumpish. This is what the Democrat Party has always done. This is their playbook. Yeah. When they're losing the argument on the facts, they reach for whatever they think will work. Play the race card, stir emotions, manufacture fear. Anything they believe will pressure the American people into letting them do what they want. We've seen it before. And to be fair, it has worked for them in the past. Just not as much anymore. And so we'll see. We'll see if Chuck Schumer keeps trying to push this weak narrative or if he even realizes it's falling flat. But now let me show you the next clip. This is Senate Majority Leader John Thune speaking on the issue. And listen closely. I want you to listen closely because here's the bottom line, ladies and gentlemen. If the Republican Party cannot get this done, if they have control of the House and the Senate and still fail, then they don't deserve control. Because what that means is they let Chuck Schumer bully them into backing down on something that is overwhelmingly supported by the American people, regardless of political affiliation. But let's take a listen.
Should non-citizens be voting in American elections? The answer is no. And the Democrats have taken a hard position that it's okay. Now, the law already prevents that, but if that's true, then why wouldn't we want to put into law something that would require when you go to vote that you prove you are a United States citizen? And that's all the SAVE Act does. And so, they can cry and lament this actually being voted on, but I'd be hard-pressed to have to defend a position that doesn't believe that you have to be an American citizen to vote in an American election.
I'll finish off with the words of Speaker Mike Johnson defending the SAVE Act. This is from yesterday, Leader Thune. Listen. The SAVE Act just simply says you have to have verification of citizenship to register to vote. That's about a 90-10 issue on many of the polls in this country. And we're going to enhance it by what the president calls the Save America Act. And so it would be proof of citizenship to register to vote and voter ID, which is also about an 80 or 90% issue on the polling nationwide.
Yeah, and so Republicans need to get this done. Use the standard filibuster, do whatever you have to do.
That's what I'm saying.
But you have to get this done. There are really no excuses.
Yeah.
And so we'll see. Let's get into this clip right here. This is the mayor, Jacob Fry. For some reason, this guy thinks he's far more powerful and has more authority than what he actually does. And he keeps saying things that...
Yeah, man, shout out to Charles Forte, man. If y'all want to check out the rest of that show, y'all can go to Charles Forte on YouTube and check him out. Give him a subscribe also. We'll get to this next story. But, yo, it's simple, bro. It's simple. You need ID to vote, man. It's not racist. They want to make everything racist, bro. And this is why the country is so divided. It ain't because of Trump. It ain't because Trump is a racist. This is what. No, it's because these people are fucking racist. You know what I'm saying? And they keep wanting to live in the past. And that's why every time you hear an argument from anybody on any of these issues, they always got to go back 30, 40, 50 years in order to try to make their argument right for today, which nobody is going through Jim Crow. Nobody is going through these things. Yes, do you have individual issues with people or officers and things like that? Yes, you have individual issues with people that might or might not be racist, bro. You know what I'm saying? But as far as pushing racism, I believe, honestly, a lot of these people, like Roland Martin and these guys, are pushing it. Charlemagne, are pushing these things way more. Jasmine Crockett, way more than any, of these white people out here. I think people, it's not about forgetting it. History is history. My problem with it is this: they want to keep you down mentally, and that's what it's all about. It's like Black History Month, and they want to keep bringing up, oh, you were oppressed, so we feel bad for you. You got white people that are out here that truly look down on you. They go through life feeling as though they're better than you, and that's how they look at you because that's the story that's told, is that black people in America came from slavery, and white people will always be superior, and get the fuck out of here, man. That's all a mindset, bro. It's all a mindset, man. You could go through all the stuff in history that has happened to black people, and these things did happen. Black people went through vicious times in America, for sure. But show me how um dwelling on it, right? Dwelling on the past is going to better any of our kids' future. Teaching your kids to watch out for the white man and all of these things. No, you teach your kids how to move through life with anybody, because the same way a black man could be racist, as Hispanic, whoever, anybody could be racist, anybody could be having a bad day, and shit can happen. You know what I'm saying? But they want to make every issue a racist issue, a racial issue. And it's stupid, bro. You know, I'm telling you, all of these things that are going on is all taught behavior. All these people that's out here going against ICE and all of this stuff, this is all taught behavior. You have a bunch of people linking up, whether, in person, online, wherever, and they're pushing this shit. They're teaching it. Oh, we need to go do this. And you got people out here fucking, you know, uh, trying to harm ICE officers, doxing them, all types of stuff. And this stuff is all regular shit, and that's what I love. And I've been saying this, bro, the footage is out there. Cameras have been around for decades. So it's so much footage of past Democrat presidents, Republican presidents, so much footage of just normal shit. Like, quickly, Charles Forte pulled up a video of Barack Obama using his ID to vote back in 2012. So it's that simple. Like, when you see things like this, how don't you look at it like, oh, you at least got to be questioning why they're going so hard for these illegal immigrants. And notice, everybody, they always go to the extremes. It's always, oh, I'm a humanitarian. It's about the human race. We all need to come to, yeah, yeah, okay, we can all argue that. But when you got families out here that ain't understanding you because their daughter was, essayed and or murdered, unalived, like wherever you want to put it. Like crazy things have happened to people because of the illegal immigration that happened under Joe Biden. But you didn't see no Democrats sending condolences or nothing. But Trump is the bad guy. Anyway, let's get into this next story. Oh my God, Brian Maxwell.
So I was willing to give up whatever might be the trackings of Kamala Harris's particular fondness for nacho cheese Doritos.
Hold on, bro. Hold on. Just understand, anytime you see this woman, just know she was this close to being the president of the United States of America, bro. Like the fact that people went out, they spent time to go out and they checked the box for Kamala Harris to be the president of the United States of America, to be in control of the country, to make foreign foreign decisions, policies, foreign policies, decisions, and all of this shit that's going on. This is who they were choosing. This is who they put in the forefront. This shit is crazy, bro.
So I was willing to give up whatever might be the trackings of Kamala Harris's particular fondness for nacho cheese Doritos for the sake of getting a big bag of Doritos as I watched the Oscars.
That's like consumer behavior.
And that's right, but here's the thing.
Here's the thing.
At what point do we also uplift and highlight the consumer's right to also expect, and you can debate with me if it should be a right, I think it should, to expect that the innovation would also be weighted in terms of solving their everyday problems, which are beyond my craving for Doritos.
What?
But about whatever, and I know the work is happening around, the scientific discoveries, for example, to cure longstanding diseases. But I'm going to throw out another one. And you all, again, please get back to me any information you have. I would love it if there would be an investment of resources in solving the affordable housing issue in America. Like, help me with that.
All right, Patriots, as you know, every once in a while, I love to kick off.
She went from talking about cheese Doritos, consumer. Oh man, bro.
The videos with a little fun clip. And what we just saw there, and this was February the 3rd of 2026, was our girl Kamala Harris. And as you can see, she has not lost the ability. As a matter of fact, I think she's gotten even better at creating the most undescribable, non-understandable word salads that you can ever think of. She starts off talking about Doritos, then somehow she talks about making her sacrifice for her big bag while plugging the Oscars, and then drifts off into scientific data, and then talks about affordable housing. That woman is drunker than a skunk. That's what it looks like. But I digress from that. Yeah, this video is about our main man, Scott Bessent, the Secretary of the Treasury. And man, the Democrats had him on Capitol Hill. And one thing I will say, he is one of, if not my
favorite. Fact, she wasn't saying nothing. She was, bro. That's like, I don't like, yo, the fact this is like what it. This is why I believe that not everybody should have the right to vote, because like she is plenty. I'm talking about so many times, just stood up and said a bunch of dog shit, a bunch of nothing, and the fact that people were willing to put this woman in office and be in charge of the country, in charge of making important decisions on behalf of America, the country you live in. You could talk about history, you could talk about stolen land, you could talk about all of these things that weren't good in history of America. But at the end of the fucking day, you're still American. You're still here. You still live here. And to put a person based just off the fact that she's a woman and because she had melanin in her skin, because she wasn't African American, you were willing to vote for her to be in the president's seat, is wild to me, bro. Like, I don't know what would make anybody in their right mind vote for that woman, bro.
Favorite gay person on the planet. Well, he's not my only one, but because I have some family members, people I love a lot, but Scott Bessent has been extremely impressive. And the reason why I pointed out him being a gay man is because the left, they always talk like they love the LGBTQ community and that's so welcoming. But yet they tried to treat him like a piece of trash. Why? Because he's with the Trump administration. But if he was one of theirs, with the skill set that he has and with the way he takes these people to task, they would praise him like we are. I love Scott Bessent. Not to mention, he don't take any crap. I don't know if you heard the word, but he actually punched Elon Musk in the face, dropped him when Elon was working in the White House. They had a disagreement because Elon just wanted to go in hard, but they were doing the Doge thing and just kind of be disruptive and destructive. And where Scott Bessent, being a finance guy, economics guy, is like, no. When you're dealing with a government, you don't just go in just wrecking things. You don't do that. So they had some disagreements. They both agreed on getting rid of waste, fraud, and abuse, but it was just how to get it done. And they had a run-in, and I'm not sure if you knew that, but Scott Bessent decked him, laid him out. That's why Elon had that black eye. If you remember when Elon said his son had punched him in the face, that's not what happened. Scott Bessent had punched him in the face, but we'll move on from that. Now, I'm going to show you clips from Scott Bessent's testimony with the senators, these Democrat senators, and he dismantled them one by one with a smile on his face, which is what pissed them off even more. One senator went so deranged that they're actually considering having him tossed out and removed because he lost his freaking mind. And Scott Bessent called him out. And then I got some proof about this particular senator that I wasn't even aware of until he decided to call out Scott Bessent. Scott Bessent put him on blast and made the internet.
Hopefully everything goes good with the show continuing. But I was seeing little small glitches. Everything is good so far though. But if the show ends, probably just gonna end it for the night. But for some reason, I've been having little small technical issues. Not really sure why. Trying to figure it out, but so far everything been good though.
And start digging. And as you know, the internet is undefeated. Now, before I get into these clips of Scott Bessent
Super undefeated
and him dismantling the Democrats, we're going to take a little bit of a trip down memory lane. And this right here is our guy, the left-wing radical Morning Joe. Joe Scarborough, you know him, and Mika Jabrinsky or Gravinsky, whatever her Russian last name is. But I want you to listen to Joe Scarborough because he sounds a little bit different, and it shows that these people on these networks are grifters because he was on MSNBC when they seemed to have some sense, and they were an actual news network. Check this out.
Tonight on Scarborough Country, a bill approved by the state of California giving illegal immigrants driver's licenses. Is this a desperate move by Democrats to keep Gray Davis in office?
From 2003, just didn't know if I said that.
At the expense of national security. Tonight, we look at the left coast's most endangered politician, Governor Gray Davis, and his Democratic Party's latest attempts to show illegal aliens that crime pays. The Democratic legislature has actually passed a bill out of committee that allows illegal immigrants to get a California's driver's license. That's right. By giving these criminals the most accepted form of identification in America, the California Democrats buy votes for themselves, and it looks like, to me at least, that political gamemanship is trumping national security. As illegal immigrants are given a free pass, this plan seems to me to legitimize illegal immigration once and for all. And it's dangerous, and it owes more to winning votes for politicians than keeping our country safe.
Ain't it like, bro, this was 20-some years ago. This was Morning Joe's view on this. So this is not even new. They tried this in the past. Democrats have tried this in the past. Yo, bro, you can't make this shit up. And this is the same thing that Tim Walz passed. I don't know if it went through. I don't know how that works, but I know that he signed some legislation for illegal immigrants in Minnesota to get driver's license. All so they can vote, bro. They don't give a fuck about these people, bro. It's so crazy. And just look, boom, go back 2 decades ago. I guarantee you, bro, you could probably pull up footage of, all of them. Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton, whoever, bro. Nancy Pelosi, and they'll all be talking about illegal immigration in the same way Trump is today. So you got to ask yourself, if this is how they always felt, right? Why all of a sudden the sudden switch? What happened? Oh, they got that smackdown from Donald Trump during the election. That's what happened. And they're realizing that they're losing power and they just might not get it back again. And my thing is this: you want to get it back, actually do real shit for the people. Like these people, just think about it, bro. They have become so accustomed to robbing us, robbing you, that they think that, like, shame on you for voting for a president who is going to stop us from robbing you. Just think about it, because that's all it's about. Trump came in and did what? One of the first things he did with Elon Musk and Scott Bassett was what? Doge, to weed out the fraud, waste, and abuse within USAID and other departments within what? The federal government. He said, I'm going to drain the swamp during his first term. Didn't really get to do much because he wasn't a politician. He didn't really have, the wits and know who was who and what was really going on. But when he lost in 2020, or didn't lose, when he got cheated in 2020, he had 4 years plus the 4 years when he was in to see who was who and what was what. So when he ran, it was a landslide. And so now you got a Trump who knows who is who. He knows their playbook. He knows everything. Trump is a winner, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to think, Trump is a fucking winner, bro. And he's not about but more importantly, more than all of that, more than winning and all of that, is that he actually cares about America. You can go back to the 80s and watch interviews with Donald Trump talking about how America is getting taken advantage of from China and other countries, about how they're shipping jobs out, industries, whole industries to other countries. Like, you had presidents in, this whole um, um, global power structure was to hurt America, bro. You have people who are so-called allies, bro. They're not really your allies. These are people that they know that America has been a success with capitalism and having the two-party system, right? It's been a success for decades. And they don't want that spread into other countries. And this is why you have the EU and the British and all of this stuff trying to ruin what Trump has going on. Same thing with Canada and stuff like that, because they know that this works. They know that it works. They know capitalism works. You give people the free will to innovate, to create, and they will. You know what I'm saying? The problem is that people here are selling us out, and they're, forcing a lot of, these billionaires to go to China and go to other countries to produce their products and things like that. So, now we have less industries here in America. So just imagine if all these industries that left America come back to America, right? And, set up shop here and, all of these different states, bro, it's going to boost the economy, something crazy, because you're going to always still have foreign imports and things like that. That's still going to happen, bro. America is the largest consumer market. You think any of these countries, Canada, any of these countries are going to stop dealing with America when this is where they get their bread and butter from? Come on, stop, man. Everything is to go against us. So at the end of the day, you got to just ask yourself, who's really for America? Like, do you want to become a third world country? Then keep voting for Democrats.
Future terror attacks. It's frightening, folks. Aren't we sending a message to illegal immigrants? Break our laws, come into our country, flood over the borders, and we're going to reward you by giving you a driver's license. They're breaking the law. It's that simple. If you break the law, you shouldn't get a driver's license. You shouldn't be in our country. Now, if you want your voice heard on this issue, you can send a note to Governor Gray Davis and tell him if this bill crosses his desk, he should veto it.
Now, isn't that something? Now, this is the same Joe Scarborough that is so left-leaning, so Democrat, but yet he loves to tout how he was a Republican. He was a Republican. No, dude, you work for a network and you do and say whatever it is they put on that teleprompter. Now, this was back when MSNBC had some sense. You heard them call them criminals, illegal immigrants, giving them licenses, rewarding. What changed? This was 23 years ago. What changed? You know what changed? The Democrat plan changed. The Democrat stronghold changed. Nobody supports that party anymore. The last saving grace they had were black people. And I'm here to tell y'all, those numbers, I think they're lying in 2024 when they said only 15%. I think that's a lie. They don't want to say what the real number is because they know. If you're enjoying this video, do me a solid, hit that thumbs up. In 2026 and in 2028, whether it's J.D. Vance or Marco Rubio, you will see the numbers for black supported Republicans explode. And the Democrats knew that. And another kicker is this. With all of the deportations, not to mention the American citizen migrations from California, New York, New Jersey, forget the other states. So it's 5 of them in total. But they have lost so many people to Florida, to Texas, to Tennessee, and whatnot. That has cost the Democrats potentially 7 to 11 congressional seats.
Trends that really should set off a flashing red siren to Democrats nationwide while bringing a big smile.
Remember I said Republicans are going to win big in 2030 census, right? Look into it. What it's about. What is the census, right? I'm telling you, this is what this is all about, bro. You think that these people care about these illegal immigrants, bro, and they truly do not give a shit about them. They want to make sure and prop these people up and help them so that they can help the Democrats. That's it.
Smile to the faces of Republicans nationwide. Why do I say that? Because take a look at the big population gainers versus the last census back in 2020. According to the latest population estimates that take into account the population mid-2025, look at this. The biggest population growth this decade, all 5 of the states that Donald John Trump won in 2024. Texas, Florida, North Carolina, Georgia, and of course the great state of Arizona, where I spent my New Year's Eve. I love those folks out in Prescott, Arizona. These were the biggest gainers in terms of population compared to the 2020 census.
Which means that their ability to even get to 270 electoral college votes is on the line right now. That's why they're fighting so hard to keep them here. Because
they said as it sits right now, I think the number was they automatically sit with about in a nice marginal lead with like 240 electoral votes from the rip. So actually getting more is going to actually benefit the Republicans coming up in 2030.
They lose that population, they lose those seats.
And and it's based on let me see something. Let me see if I can real fast. Let's see. Let's do this. Let's see. So, my bad. There we go. Let me see. Mm, 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 mm. Let me see. Uh, is the data determines congressional appointment, House of Representative seats, and federal funding allocation for communities. Okay, let me see. Planets, strengths. Wanted to see. uh, mm, Data-driven census will be based on a U.S. Census Bureau modernized data-driven approach incorporating annual address tests, administrative records, and advanced technology to improve accuracy. Key strategies include using IRS and Social Security records for So this is just like the census is based off of bodies, like you know what I'm saying. It's based off of bodies, and and these different states. So they need this is why they're pushing for illegal immigration so hard. They need the bodies to be in these states because they don't it's not about these people having licenses and all of this stuff. It's about the amount of bodies that are in that state. So this is why they were pushing so hard for illegal immigration. And you're like, well, damn, millions? Yes, millions, because they need bodies.
And they have no numerical way to get to 270, because I believe the highest they'd be able to hit is 263 electoral college votes. If everything keeps up at the pace it is now, it's over for the Democrats for the foreseeable future, which is what we need and what we want. So, but let me get into these clips with Scott Besson. The first one, we're going to go have him with Pocahontas. And y'all, I love this because not only does he take them to task, but he calls them out for what they did with the Biden administration. Check this first clip out.
You're the Secretary of Treasury. You know the numbers. Is affordability a hoax, a scam, or a con job?
Senator, it may be a bit nuanced for you, but what President Trump is referring to is the media saying that the affordability crisis was generated by this administration when it was you and President Biden who destroyed the buying power of the American people. So there is an affordability crisis, and you were front and center in it.
Exactly. She was front and center in it, bro. These Democrats were ruining the country. That's why it's hilarious when I have conversations with people and they make it as if Donald Trump is the reason why things are so unaffordable in America, when it's like, where the fuck were you at the last 5 years, bro?
Let me make sure that I understand. Donald Trump is not saying that affordability, what's happening to families right now, is a hoax.
He is saying that trying to lay the blame at this administration rather than the Biden-Warren economy is a hoax.
Okay, so it all happened before he got it. And everything that's happened since then, nothing is a hoax here.
21.5% cumulative inflation.
And then he gives them that Cheshire cat grin after he calls them out on the fact. Now, this one is Senator Van Hollen. As you know, the man that loved El Brego Garcia, remember, the illegal immigrant gangbanger who was beating on his wife and got sent to El Salvador, who they fought relentlessly to get back here just for him to, but forget their constituents. Forget that. Scott Van Hollen, he did his thing for that illegal immigrant, El Brego Garcia. But check out Scott Besson and him, because he's going to remind him who he should be loyal to. Check this out. On the heels of all of the stuff that's taken.
Thank you. The statement that you made, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Secretary, I think you would agree that the credibility of the Secretary of the Treasury is important. And I want to give you a chance to retract a statement that you made on national TV. Alex Preddy was shot 10 times and killed by federal agents in Minneapolis. The administration, some administration called him a, quote, domestic terrorist. You suggested that Alex Preddy was culpable in his own killing because he had a gun in his waistband holster, which he was licensed to carry. When asked, you said, quote, I'm sorry this gentleman is dead, but, and you went on to say he had a weapon, suggesting that he was culpable in his own killing. So, Mr. Secretary, today, would you like to retract that statement?
I would not. And would you like to express remorse over the death of Ashley Babbitt here in the Capitol?
Oh, I have expressed remorse over that. So I've done that, Mr. Secretary. Mr. Secretary, please don't. So you think, I have other questions, but I actually would have expected you to take this opportunity to rephrase your response to that question. So you think the fact that he legally had a gun justified his killing?
I didn't say that at all.
You said, do you think he was culpable, partly to blame in his own killing because he had a gun?
They did not say that.
I'm asking you a question now. Do you believe he was in any way culpable for his own killing? Because
first of all, he said he was culpable. He's saying, I never said that. And now he's saying, well, I'm asking you now, do you feel this way? Like, bro, these people, it's all theater, bro.
Legally carried a gun.
Again, this is a not stock hearing.
Yeah.
So,
but you're the Secretary of the Treasury.
Why don't we talk about financial stability and oversight?
I'm happy to, Mr. Secretary, but your credibility is important. And in that response, you really, I think, let down the country because we expect honesty after that kind of terrible trend.
He called him out on Ashley Babbitt, who was killed at the Capitol, when the Democrats act like no person was harmed by anybody else. Yeah, she lost her life. They like to talk about the officers who none were hurt. None's life was taken on no January the 6th. One guy passed away of a heart attack some days later. But I'll digress from that too. Now, on this particular clip, I have no idea what this man's intention was.
And it's crazy because I've seen them use. They said that, officer was killed. All of them use that. Officer was killed during January 6th. And it's like, it's a lie, bro. It's a lie. These people lie so much, bro. I can't believe people actually believe these people, bro, and anything that they talk about, bro.
Was trying to act like Trump and them are somehow cowering down to Russia again. But Scott Bessent so politely and methodically destroys this man. Check this out.
So,
okay. Thank you, Chairman.
Started 10 minutes ago.
Thank you, Secretary, for coming on out here. Just the other week, you took part in talks with Russia. I guess I just wanted to ask you just your view of this. Do you agree that Russia's invasion of Ukraine was illegal and a violation of sovereignty and law?
Senator, I've been saying that since my confirmation.
That's right. Also, would you say that Vladimir Putin is a war criminal?
I've also been saying that since my confirmation.
Now, before you started, Treasury regularly targeted hundreds of actors and networks who sent critical goods to Russia's war machine with rounds of sanctions every 1 or 2 months. The previous administration added about 297 China-based entities and individuals to our sanctions list under the Russia sanctions program. I want to ask you, do you know how many you have added and designated as part of the Russia sanctions program since you came in as Treasury Secretary?
I do not, but I do know that President Trump sanctioned Rosneft and Lukoil, which was the major sanctions achievement, and dwarfs everything else, and has brought the Russians to the table for the talks that I was at last Saturday.
And you'll have bipartisan support for those sanctions, but I'll just say that there is also bipartisan support on doing everything we can to crack down on Russia's war machine, not just on the energy side. And so, as I said, the previous administration has added 297 China-based entities. This administration has added 0. That is the number 0. So I just urge you.
The previous administration was extremely weak on sanctions, and it was on record as saying that they did not want to increase energy sanctions because they were worried about the midterms, worried about the failed election of Vice President Harris, and in a display of cowardice.
I'm not asking you about that right now.
But on the way out the door, Jake Sullivan raised some of the energy sanctions. President Trump took the most bold action. So we have done more.
I'm asking you here, can you commit to this Congress that you will take action to sanction Russia's shadow fleet?
I will take it under consideration. We will see where the peace talks go.
I see how.
You see, every time they try to get him, he pivot back and put the hammer right back in their face. Now, this is when this deranged congressman loses his mind. Congressman Meeks. Now, I want you to check this out, and then I got some information to show you after he gets done with this deranged outbreak. Check this out.
Application. All you have to ask is yes or no.
No, Congressman.
All you have to ask
the
is yes or
OCC
no.
is an independent entity, and I would know, Congressman.
I take that as a no.
You traveled to Venezuela.
I take that as a no.
On behalf of
I take that as a no. You do not want to answer that question. I take that as a no.
For $7 billion.
I'm asking you to do your.
See, that's the thing. When it comes down to it, they know. See, people like Scott Bessent, Elon, these guys. Of course, Trump and these guys have information on all of these people. So when they have these hearings and shit, and Kristi Noem and stuff like that, like like he just was pulling up the fact that this guy went to Venezuela on behalf of somebody or something. Couldn't really make it out too much, but I heard him say that much. But bro, these people are fake, just fake, bro. It's all politics. It's just politics, bro. It's just, let's get up here, just try to throw some shit out here, throw some dirt on Donald Trump's name or whatever. That's all it's about.
Responsibility as Secretary of the Treasury. You do not make.
Look at this old fucking fart over here. What's her name again? Some Waters.
Your time has expired. You cannot erase witnesses. These are the ones that went past your time, Mr. Chairman.
No,
he did not.
He represent the black culture, bro, in terrible fashion, bro.
Answer my question.
Not
and he wouldn't pass the time.
He had 6 seconds left to try to answer your question, and it
was a yes or no. It was a yes or no answer. I asked him, will he? No, was that yes or no?
The OCC is an independent.
Stop covering for the president.
Yeah, well,
stop being his flunky.
And gentlemen.
He's talking to me. I'm responding back to him.
2006 trip to Venezuela.
Stop covering for the president. Don't be a flunky. Work for the American people.
Mr. Meeks, trip to Venezuela.
Work for the American people. Don't be a cover-up for a mob.
Maybe you're going to
As
see
long
your
as
friend
he talks,
Nicholas
he's
Maduro
fine.
in is Brooklyn not prison. recognized.
As
Mr.
long as he
Bassett,
talks, you talk.
please. I recognize the gentleman
They don't want the truth to be exposed, bro.
from Texas, Mr.
Did y'all see? Did you see Scott Bassett smirking? Because what he did, he busted Meeks out. Because here's what happened. Meeks in 2006 goes over to Venezuela, has a meeting with Hugo Chavez. Now, do you know who he had this meeting on behalf of? It was on behalf of a man named Alan Stanford. Some people called him Sir Alan Stanford. Now, you might say, who is Sir Alan Stanford? Alan Stanford was a man from Texas, a failed gym owner, a failed entrepreneur who decided that he was going to be successful by being a complete fraud. He was fraudulent, selling stocks and stuff to people, and he had opened up offices over in oh my God, Antigua, because they have horrible laws. Little bit to know. Most fraudsters, most professional fraudsters, financial fraud, go to places like Antigua because you can buy the government off. You can do whatever you want to do in different countries without being held in their jurisdiction. So check this out right here, and you can Google Alan Stanford. There's documentaries on him. The man even lied about being related to the Stanford family that created the university until they blasted him. He was literally using that in his marketing pieces. He was quote unquote a billionaire, buying soccer teams and was sleeping with players' wives. He was very arrogant, very rude. He's in prison right now. He has been beat down in prison too. He is getting what he deserves. He's in there for life. But check this out. This is from the Miami Herald and the New York Post. The intervention. Meeks was heard on a speakerphone telling billionaire Alan Stanford, who ran a $7 billion Ponzi scheme, that he would intervene with the Venezuelan government to handle the problem. The American Prospect wrote about the whistleblower Gonzalo Tirado found the fraud at Stanford's bank after Meeks met with Hugo Chavez in 2006, which is what Secretary Besson was talking about. Tirado was arrested by the regime and effectively disappeared into their justice system to protect Stanford's secret of robbing people and ripping them off. Despite Chavez being a known dictator, Meeks traveled to Venezuela for his 2013 funeral, where he stood in the same room as leaders like Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, to honor the man who broke Venezuela's economy. Meeks was named, listen to this one, by Crew Outlet. Meeks was named one of the most corrupt members of Congress from 2011 to 2013. Crew cited his work for Stanford, who got 110 years in prison for the $7 billion fraud, as a key reason for the most corrupt title. Lastly, from the House Ethics Committee, records show Meeks and his wife took multiple luxury trips, junkets, to the Caribbean and Venezuela starting in 2003, all funded by groups backed by Alan Stanford and his Ponzi scheme.
So, long story short, man, these people are fucking flukes, fakes. And it's all it's about, man. They just want to continue to, rob us. Trump is standing in the way from them being able to do so, man. So people really need to wake up, man. We need to wake up, actually come together on real issues, man. Get rid of the whole tax system, man. We need to stop being taxed. Seriously, man. We need to come together on some real shit because the stuff that they're pushing is fake, bro. It's fake. It's fake. Trump been telling you it's fake. Hey, but yeah, that was a good show today, man. If you like the show, please do me a favor and hit that like button, share the video, comment down below whether you agree, disagree, doesn't matter. Also, hit that subscribe button for me. Help me on the road to 1K subscribers. Can't do it without you. Also, hit that notification bell so you get notified every time your boy go live. So today, I also have on a sample shirt that let me move this. I got on a sample shirt, Sacrifice Greatness. It's a new SG apparel. Going into business with somebody. Just had a little sample shirt put together. Um, this is it came out a little rough, the image, but the ones that like I said, it's just a sample. But SG apparel coming soon, really, 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 really soon. You know what I'm saying? Like ASAP on them. And also the NGLA, Never Gonna Lose Again apparel, also coming soon. So definitely look for that. Going to have links and everything that in the description really soon. Just make sure y'all check out for that. Sacrifice Greatness, HD Apparel Company, coming soon. This your boy SL550. This is the Never Gonna Lose Again podcast. Until next time, I'm out. Millionaire thoughts, billionaire dreams. I know niggas who played ball and gave it up for lean.
Millionaire thoughts, billionaire dreams, but my account in overdraft, I'm about to scream.
Rich man greed,
a poor man prayers.
Every man bleeds,
but look how God made us.
Too many losses, it's only right that we win. I made a promise I'm never gonna lose again. Lose again, lose again, lose again, lose again.